Games are the most inseparable parts of our lives as a place to escape reality. With so many genres dominating the digital sphere, the more developed games are in order to conform to gamers with today's modern standards. The full graphics, creative game mechanics, dynamic interactivity, multiplayer features, and a lot more that my own brain could handle. Of course, a few among those audiences crave for a certain charm, a certain uniqueness, that oftentimes games from the early 2000s or even the 90s and beyond that can give to the audience. And thankfully, some games do set themselves apart in order to be different. Whether the games look like another subtle yet generic game or not, it is up to the audience themselves to decide. And our subject for today is a particular first-person boomer shooter survival horror game, Cultic. My favorite boomer shooter game so far, speaking as an Indonesian. One thing you need to understand about Indonesia is that, despite being a developing modern country, our citizens, including myself, are incredibly superstitious people. And not just because we believe in ghosts. My countrymen comprise more than 300 tribes spread out over 5 major continents and numerous small islands. Therefore, many cultures, especially those that dabble with the spiritual forces and rituals, are mixed together, creating numerous mythical and paranormal legends that are still disseminated to the populace to this day, whether by books or the media, word of mouth, or even the legacy left behind by our respective ancestors. That does not mean we believe it's superstitious just because something weird has happened. We're still capable of making rational conclusions, although, look at my country's literacy rate, it doesn't say much for my part. Nevertheless, the point is, Indonesia is a country where horror games are well popularized, and to see this game, Cultic, is not that popular even here is a bit depressing. Then again, it is an indie game, kind of an underdog game from the Western sphere. Cultic was released in 2022, published by 3D Realms and entirely created by one guy, Jason Smith. Later, a guy named Nick Palsmeyer came to help with the map level designs for Chapter 2. How do I know this? You can see Nick's signature on certain maps on Chapter 2. The most prominent one is the train station level. And, last I checked, according to Nick's ArtStation platform, I think he also helped out with some concept art for the enemies. That's pretty cool. Cultic has 3 chapters, Chapter 1, Interlude, and Chapter 2. The game is available on Steam for roughly $19 to $20 if you buy the complete bundle. That includes Chapter 2 and the whole soundtrack, or in Indonesia, roughly about 200,000 rupiahs. That's a bloody steal. And boy, I enjoyed the gameplay so much that even I feel comfortable trying to play this game on the hardest difficulty as a casual gamer. Extreme difficulty. What makes it better? It's a single player game. Online players look away now, just looking from the game itself, the mood, the limited color palette, the enemy, the weapons, even the character's goddamn sleeve. There are influences or even, I dare say, references that inspired Jason to create this wonderful game. Now, I won't say it feels Doom-like, even if it shoots like Doom. It does feel like blood with a cult theme and the game's proclivities to fire. But for me, it feels like something close to Resident Evil 4, the original one, especially since you can shoot flying hatchets off the air in the game. Dev even said that this is his source of inspiration for the game. Well, somehow I'm glad Leon isn't in this game. I don't think he's qualified yet to fight an army of shooting cultists. On second thought. So if you're looking for a horror game but don't want to be defenseless like me and prefer alternative games to the ones in mainstream media, this is your cup of tea. Also, considering that Cultic has 2 separate chapters and an interlude chapter, I may need to split videos for each chapter. But for now, let's start with the first chapter. The game is set in 1963, which I can confidently say is a fuzzy year for the development of new firearms. In the 1960s, as far as I can tell from my research, while modern firearms were indeed available at the time, they were not yet globally commonplace. AK-47 maybe, but other guns like the M16 and such still testing new grounds. So it does make sense for the guns in Cultic to seem almost entirely coming out from the Second World War's arsenal, especially within America itself. They overstayed their welcome, yes, but they're still formidable weapons. You recognize some guns, such as the C96 Monster's Red variant, a little homage to the RE4, quite a punchy pistol and very good at being a mini sniper as the first firearm you get in the game, which makes popping heads more satisfying. Mare's Leg, an icon of the Wild West. It is a pretty short gun but surprisingly good at long distances. It's great penetration damage and it is best for headshotting enemies. Yes, I said enemies. You can shoot it fast like a cowboy too in close quarters, but expect reduced accuracy. You have a sort of shotgun. Yes. This gun never gets old. Same old drill. Load, fire once or twice, load again. Unfortunately, it's subjected to gaming nonsense about shooting distance. But if you get both barrel choke and double buckshot upgrades, best gun for big game. The British Special Relic, the Stein Mark V. Nice as a mouser, but pretty good for spray and pray. I'm not sure why its magazine has 50 rounds, then 75 rounds if it's upgraded. Was the multi gun manufacturer? Like was Harry in World War II? Nevertheless, it is a nice gun, not recommended for armored enemies however. And then there's China Lake. In 1963, and a flamethrower, with another way to burn these monsters. And finally, FG-42. Holy shit. I'll be frank, no other games other than Call of Duty War at War and Company of Heroes show more love to this beautiful German gun. There ought to be more of them, I beg of you. It's a sniper rifle, to my surprise, but if you get an automatic mode upgrade,
German superiority campaign attack.
In regard to gunplay with this game's weapons, I like that I can sense how strong each gun is just from the gunshots alone, and how quickly I can recognize which guns are appropriate to use at differing distances, especially when you use them for the first time. Despite being a pixel-based game with a style that's similar to other Doom-like games, the gun handling and the shooting feel smooth, powerful, quick, and incredibly smooth, like a ninja weaponizes a paper page which slit someone's throat. It's just that good. One more thing I like about this, aside from the gunplay, is another bit of realism. You need to reload your gun. Sure, that seems rather out of place, even unthinkable, to put such an idea in a game of that genre. But hey, this ain't just boomer shooter, it's also survival horror. You know what that means? Make your goddamn shot count. Sure, I will default to constantly reloading after killing an enemy, but this bit of realism gives you a sense of pressure and the need for precision in a fight. Either you're prepped to shoot or you get caught with your pants down. Also, some weapons can be used alongside shields, especially the monster and lever action. You can use the shield to bash the enemy, plant it down for temporary cover, or kick it away like a boomerang. You know you can't use the shield if you're reloading. And there's something I like to point out that others might not notice. Do you notice how the first ray guns after the pistol are actually compact in size? Like the lever action and shotguns are short barrel and he only picks up SMGs? I think that's a bit clever on the dev's part. Your character is meant to be extremely mobile and quick with his hands, even though he is half as strong as Gordon Freeman in his HEV suit. You are the hero of the story, yes, but you still are human, and if you think logically as human, you do not want your weapons to slow you down. If you're going up against different enemies and circumstances, you gotta be dynamically quick on which weapons you choose, and switching between short weapons not just helps, but it actually matters. Of course, when you progress more into the game, you get your late game weapons that are heavier to hold by someone as normal as him, but that's what I like about it. You don't use your big guns that often. They act more like situational weapons than your primary weapon. Yes, the flamethrower and the sniper rifle are that heavy, but you don't carry them by your own hands the whole time. These big weapons are what I consider the exceptions to the rule, because by that point you are already unstoppable, but not to the point that it disobeys the limitations of an enhanced human being. So semi-realism in the gunplay. That's nice. Very nice. There are plenty of game mechanics that exist in this game that even Jasozz or Jason commented on in his death diary. But I'll give you guys a favor and I'll explain it all here instead, because there are some mechanics here that actually caught me off guard for Blood or a Resident Evil-like game. And I like that the developer implemented them here properly. The most common is the dash and slide mechanic, used both for dodging and for traversing areas faster for a short time. Interestingly, back when Cultic only had chapter 1 out, there was a tutorial on how to do power slide, but I found out about dash by pressing Alt, which the game didn't explicitly mention. Thankfully, the current version of Cultic also includes a tutorial button to help you figure out how this game works, including the dash mechanic, which is also useful to shove enemies back. So overall, this game is pretty friendly for first timers. This mechanic uses a new feature called stamina, limiting how many times you can dash or slide before it needs to recharge. A nice addition of challenge compared to dashing or sliding so infinitely. Stamina doesn't affect running or jumping, by the way. This is also the first boomer shooter game I played that gives us a way to negate fall damage. If you crouch after dropping from a high place, the detective will do a landing roll. Depending on how high you're dropped from, you can actually survive accidentally falling from a tower, and you either lose no health or a quarter of your health. It's a saving grace on extreme difficulty. There's also kicking. Not much is useful other than kicking doors, environments, and its lackluster damage against enemies, but there's a neat trick to it to move around faster. Please don't take this away from us. The burning mechanic is the one that the dev fixed the most. Originally, each enemy has a burn threshold, and if that threshold is reached, the enemy is burned regardless of health. But since the Home for Cultmas update, the burn threshold is completely scrapped, and instead it'll directly affect the enemy's health, after many users complain of how broken the mechanic is. This was going to be one of my complaints, but it looks like I don't need to. Cultic's dynamite Molotov system throws me off somewhat, but once I got used to it, it's a pretty fun mechanic, for me at least. Unlike the traditional grenade throw, this one forces you to ignite the dynamite first and then throw it. The same can be said for Molotov. What's interesting is that you can modify both TNT and Molotov to provide different kinds of damage in certain situations. You need boom boom all over the place, cluster dynamites. You need a big fiery explosion. Strap Molotov to TNT and enjoy the show. I love the smell of barbecued zombies in the morning. Locational damage is also a thing in this game, not just headshots. If you use a shotgun for example and you shoot their limbs, it'll tear their limbs off complete with a dramatic spinning flip. Goodness gracious, Jason, you even bother animating a death other than the headshots. That's some Hollywood stuff and I like it. Now, The slow motion in this game works differently than the likes of Call of Duty, Max Payne, or even Fear. The slow-mo we know only happens if we kill the last enemy, or breach a room, or in Fear's case, activate the slow-mo button. The slow motion in this game is based on random chance, so when you neutralize an enemy, it sometimes won't work, sometimes it will. So the question will be, why even bother? It's your window of opportunity. It can be a saving grace when you need a split second to make certain decision, whether to dodge, plan the next destination, or lock on another target before you to return to the fray. It is thanks to this mechanic that I barely managed to avoid direct hit to the face by a grenade shell, of all things. If it annoys you, you can turn it off in the option menu, but why would you? As a hobbyist who often draws anime or manga, drawing the whole maps, enemies, guns, realistic environments, animations, that's hard enough. Actually insisting on using a limited 4-color palette and adjusting that color using shades, lighting, and different tones of contrast, shit, I might have fallen ill just to think about it. For those who aren't familiar, a limited 4-color palette is exactly what it sounds like. Limiting yourself to 4 key colors and playing around with them to create harmonious blended colors to create a certain art style. In a way, the colors are intended to be reminiscent of ye olde retro games like ones you see on Game Boy, consoles, NES games, and similar. At least that's how I understand it from my research. From what I see in the game, the 4 major colors used are red, green, blue, and brown. Green is for the vegetation of the environment, blue is most used for darkness, water environments, clothes, sky, and stones, red is mostly used for blood, stains, fires, lanterns, and gunshots, brown is used for the majority of the environment, like buildings, dirt, and tree bark. Sometimes you can see a few or all the colors used for different stuff, like furniture, church windows, character sprites, and guns. Isn't that a beautiful skybox? For one guy to draw and model all of this for one game, I must admire his virtuous patience for this charming, artistic yet realistic, rugged depiction. I've tried to make a realistic drawing using pixels and I can't even get to that level of mastery Jason has. Of course, there are rough imperfections here and there, but those imperfections make me feel like I'm reliving my childhood and forget the fact that this is actually a modern game. It's hard not to feel immersed in the gritty environments. The theme of the art style, ito yung paling mengejutkan. It's mainly a combination of gothic horror, old detective noir, and oddly enough, folk country. I say folk country mostly because of the mood and the atmosphere. The colors shown in the levels, it feels rather visceral. And given how realistic the environments are in its depiction of backwater areas like the forests, mines, and the buildings there in general, it accidentally felt like New Grindelwald has its own Wild West out there. You can dispute whether my assessment is accurate or not. Moreover, this game uses color filtering and dithering to make the colors look a bit like those in the newspaper. It's supposed to make it as if you're in a bleak situation, feel like the whole world is against you more and more. Of course, not everyone really likes the filters, so you can turn them off in options for a sharper color. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the colors. While most of the maps are incredibly linear, each map actually feels more complicated than it looks. The first time I played the first level, it felt long for some reason. In Doom 2, it took me less than 5 minutes to complete the first level. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I know it's not a boom shooter, but that took me 15 minutes for the first level. This game, 45 minutes on casual difficulty. Each level in this game is a bit longer than I expected, so I kinda forget I'm still playing in the same level. It is safe to say that the church level is the smallest level in Chapter 1, due to it being both a survival and a boss map. If you're playing on extreme on this level, you have both my condolences and my respect. At least Jason's merciful enough to give us a checkpoint before finding the boss. I'll give him that. Another bonus point about these maps is that during exploration, some maps actually give you alternative paths to the same objective. One of the best examples of this is the excavation site, since it is the most open map for sniper galore, but it has many paths from top to bottom to reach your destination, and you're free to choose how you would go there. The secrets scattered within the level are what I like the most. With respect to Doom and similar games, they are hiding in plain sight as always, but a few of those secrets are hidden in a place so innocuous that you could walk by it many times without realizing it. Like prop hunt, find your enemy in a shooting range, but you didn't realize you're standing too close to him because he is pretending to be a moving paper target. Two of the best examples are in the docks and the mine levels. Now, where do you think the secret is hiding at this dock? Isn't that overturned wooden boat? Gold star for you if you get it right. As for the mines, yes, that's a secret, but that's not the one I'm talking about. Here, right here. If you're a bit stressed or in a hurry, it's easy to miss something trivial like that. I like the fact that each level is titled after the area the player will be put in. It gives us a general idea before we go in depth into the level, which makes certain explorations feel worthwhile. For Chapter 1, it has exactly 4 survival maps: Graveyard Shift, Minor Problems, Asylum Action, and Unholy Commotion. Graveyard Shift is the same map as the church level, just without the boss. It's an open enough space with a lot of low walls and headstones out front that can be used as cover from gunfire. It is also a map that gives you a lot of freedom to jump around a lot, which the enemy can't. An alleyway that goes around the church may provide an escape route if you get overwhelmed, but be mindful of the back doors in that alleyway. Exercise caution if you're heading into the church because its long hallways often become useful kill zones for cultists, especially for shotgunners and knights. Minor Problems takes place in a section of the mine with incredibly asymmetrical and chaotic placement of scaffoldings, wooden platforms, stairs, tunnel paths, and mining equipment. About 2 stories tall, a lone tall rock stands in the middle of it, while the ground floor contains a few large digging sites, few wooden walls, an excavator, and a container. Elevated bridges connecting to the rock and the surrounding scaffolds provide better positions to shoot from, with the risk of being completely exposed, and an interconnecting tunnel from the second floor to the 2 different tunnels on the ground floor to provide different routes. All in all, it's a dwarven wet dream. Just be careful when entering the tunnels because explosive barrels are most often placed at the entrances, and mind your steps around the digging sites. Asylum Action is the whole front yard of the asylum. This includes guarding scaffolds at the gate entrance and the short trenches with a tunnel that moves from east to west of the map. It is a pretty open space that will be prone to receiving suppression despite enough cover, but open enough to give you freedom to keep distance from the enemy. The area near the asylum's front doors, where the hedgerows hides the roads, often acts as an ambush against you. Considering enemies do spawn near that area often, trenches provide immediate protection from gunfire, but often knights and zombies can overwhelm you in there, and some shotgunners toss dynamite into it if they're on top of you. I will suggest avoiding trenches until you need them. Lastly, Unholy Commotion is a symmetrical, large temple map with 3 different levels to walk on. Lower levels are the ground level and waterways, the second level is the main chamber with pillars used as camping site, and the third level is the elevated stone walkways. All levels have interconnecting stairs arranged symmetrically, with the ground level featuring a straight tunnel beneath the main chamber, and the top level having ledge walls that provide cover from gunfire. Surprisingly, this map is actually more exposed than it looks. Just be careful if you're going from ground to upper levels, because they can rush at you from 2 different levels, especially tank enemies like chainsawers and devourers. Par for the course of survival mode, you can definitely buy weapons, ammo, and upgrades after each wave at the pillar shop. However, if you do run out of ammo or health, Each map provides a bonus crate in different locations for you to break open and collect. These crates are also available during rest time. So yeah, it's actually nice to have something else to motivate you to keep going on to the next wave if you're broke. It is a well-balanced time mode, especially on extreme, that prioritizes aggressiveness and susceptibility to damage over the likelihood of being guaranteed to be shot to death. The game is incomplete without a soundtrack. The most pronounced tone of this music is what I best describe as an evangelical choral orchestra. This tone is prominent in combat scenes and somber scenes where you navigate from one place to another. While it is an odd choice for music for a boomer shooter, it is incredibly fitting for a disgraced detective. Of course, that doesn't mean some retro music isn't in it, but its presence is more to complement our protagonist's heroism and efforts than to remind us that we're in the old times. A harmonious blend of these two musical tones creates an eclectic mix of ritualistic gospel, improvised music, and rock and roll. And to keep in tone with the old, nostalgic feeling this game exudes, some rhythms are intentionally lean into retro beats to get that feeling just right. Not so overboard with it, but just enough to get your head bobbing, and in certain cases, your gunshots are in sync with the music. As for scenes focused on horror, there is no music. Now this is the man who understands how horror works. The dev does not rely on jump scares or jump scaring music to create the scene. Instead, it relies on the atmosphere, background ambient, and foreboding realization that you are either alone or there's something with you there. The complete uncertainty is your biggest enemy. However, there are a few instances where music is relied on in this section, and it relies instead on dissonance and droning industrial howling. With that out of the way, I like to list my top 5 favorite soundtracks of Chapter 1. Rock House Showdown, Abomination, Unstoppable, The World Asunder, Krebs Shootout. You will mostly fight human enemies throughout the story, but there are also monsters who want a piece of your flesh. Sometimes those monsters can shoot back. What is brilliant about the enemies, even on the easiest difficulty, the enemy feels very competent to kill you. The cultists are using the same weapons as you are, and they are very cracked at putting holes in you. Shotgunners are as deadly as you are, pistol cultists are one step away from being snipers, even axe-wielding maniacs pass throwing lessons without missing a beat. What's more interesting, the regular cultists are also capable of kicking environmental objects, even your own bomb, back at you, essentially making you taste your own medicine. You may like your guns, doesn't mean the cultists don't like them. Shit, even a grenade launcher cultist can hit you, not in the general direction. 100% hit your face with that launcher. So you're saying, he went to the cult's own sniper school and passed a shooting exam but completely failed the stealth exam. Then some Arkan checked out his score and went, hey, why don't we put him in charge of explosives? They went with that, and now they have a mobile mini artillery unit. I won't lie, I ought to give him a medal for coming up with that if I didn't kill him. Even with a limited color palette, you can distinguish enemies from afar by their outfits, prioritizing which threats are critical to deal with, especially annoying ones. Some enemies are more unique than others, due to the fact that they have more attack moves, some have different voices and behaviors. Shotgun cultists can throw dynamite at you. Armored veteran cultists can switch between the stand and the shotgun depending on how close you are, and throw cluster dynamites everywhere. An enemy can do some supernatural crap, For some reason, Pochon came to mind when I first killed this bastard. Chainsaw is chainsaw. The sniper, other than having a normal voice, you can switch to a pistol if you get too close. Interestingly enough, you can kill cultists stealthily, as long as you are far away from them and they don't look at you or at each other, so you can actually sneak past them without killing them. Unlike other retro boomer shooter games, all the enemies shoot out projectiles instead of a hit scan. Only one enemy that does hit scan, and even that is purely to slow you down. I'll compliment the fairness Jason showed us by actually letting us thrive in exposed areas instead of worrying about picking out because they're guaranteed to hit you. Oh, and last thing, difficulty settings can obviously affect how tough the enemy is. Don't worry, it's not like immediate aimbotting or tanky health, but it modifies both how aggressive and persistent the enemy is in stopping you from destroying the cult and how easy it is for you to die if you don't keep your guard up. So not only will the enemy move faster than usual, but their attack patterns and damage are also affected. Here you can see the side-by-side comparison of enemies in standard difficulty and extreme difficulty. Scary, right? Didn't stop me from getting that achievement. I actually enjoy playing this game on extreme difficulty. Yes, I did die a few times here and there, but it's not like the game is screwing you over for picking that option. It actually challenges you to adapt and persist against more competent enemies by utilizing your awareness and wit throughout the game. If you die, you're not going to blame your enemy, but yourself, and you learn how to hone your skills properly to avoid that same mistake again. As I've said before, I'm a casual gamer who beat this game on extreme difficulty. If a casual gamer can do that, that means you can too. And knowing the fact that the enemies don't use hit scans except for one, you still have a fair chance to save yourself from those attacks. It is brilliant. So brilliant. You play as a detective who has been suspended from investigations due to false allegations about a disappearance spree occurring through New Grandual. Going row, all leads point to the abandoned asylum, and you go there on your own. Unfortunately, you've been ambushed. Upon awakening from the grave, you must fight your way through an army of cultists and monsters and uncover what lies hidden in that asylum. You start out with a hatchet that was used on a poor guy, and slowly and surely, you will arm yourself with the weaponry you have taken from the cultists as the level progresses. While there is almost no cutscene or any words spoken from our new detective, there are paper notes scattered throughout the maps, each recounting an investigation, research, and side notes that act as part of environmental storytelling. Once you leave the grave and kill the chainsawer, you stumble upon the shipyard. You explore the cargo ship anchored on the wide river and leave the shipyard through a tunnel system to move further inland into a mining hole area. And you see the sky has changed color. Oh boy. They have broken the barrier of reality. This case of disappearance immediately changes into something more dire, and our detective has no choice but to hurry and stop whatever the cult is doing at the asylum. Having been forced to move through the dark forest and survive a zombie ambush, you'll stumble upon an abandoned mining town. Well, more like under new management. You'll climb up into the rock house and open the lever to get the conveyor cart to open up a path deep into the mines. Ugh. Yep. That's some big safety violations right there. From there, you have to do a detour throughout the mines to find a key to open up the exit to the nearby elevator mine, which will take you to, surprisingly, a crypt. After entering the crypt, though, you'll find a pocket flashlight. No, you have to worry about holding a light in your other hand. The underground tomb maze is empty, yet there is certainly evidence that someone has been through here. TNT and bear traps have been left behind, skeletons and caskets strewn about, and a locked armory. Who puts an armory in here? You'll go downstairs into flooded levels, having to contend with undead corpses guarding the halls, and sometimes lie motionless underwater. And there's a ghost. And a monster. Once you find the key, the whole tomb comes back alive. You have to make your way back to the start. Skeletons act similarly to regular cultists but are weaker than their human counterparts. You open the gate into the tomb hall. You have to go through an onslaught of both undead and monsters waiting for you. Curiously, you'll find a blasting plunger on the ground floor. When you make your way around to the upper floors, you'll find a path blocked by debris and a note left behind near the blasting machine. It turns out that the cultists have brought this undead back to life using the imbued essence of the will. But since the cultists don't have anyone who is capable of controlling the undead, they soon turn against those who resurrected them. They then seal the tomb after realizing they're dealing with a complete infestation. Our detective blows the path open and quickly eliminates the cultists behind the stone doors, catching them off guard. Once it's all clear, you'll take the last elevator up, and it will take you to the cult-converted church. You grab any ammo and weapons you can after stepping off the elevator and entering the church hall, to which the door is locked behind you. You step into a trap. Cultists soon come after you from every direction and attack with all of their arsenal and monsters in store. Wave after wave after wave. When it's clear to them that it's not enough, they bring out the goddamn tank. Oh, are you kidding? Did they raid the National Guard? This is your first boss. And you will notice that, unlike the other enemies, the boss is shown as a three-dimensional enemy. It is an actually interesting way to distinguish regular enemies from bosses, and this will be prevalent in later bosses. Thankfully, armed with dynamite, giant lake, and enough ammunition, you destroyed the tank, neutralizing cultists' hope to stop you in an ambush. You press on through the backwater forest, but soon you encounter another enemy. It is hard to spot them at first. Thankfully, the glints provided their positions. The scope glint is a new addition added after Chapter 2 came out, to make it easier to find where they're hiding. I'm not sure why that's necessary, but I suppose not everyone has quite a keen eye to spot a sniper lying prone in the grass. A long trek and an ambush later, you reach the asylum. You'll find what's left of your car and bid your farewell. Entering the big hole in the wall of the road, you'll find the asylum is heavily defended by the cultists, with snipers stationed on its roofs. With the entrance blocked off, you explore the areas surrounding the asylum and find the necessary fuel to use the elevator up to the roof. If you explore one of the trenches to the left after going through the wall, you will find the latest note from the cult's researcher regarding the true nature of the cult. I didn't digest much when I read it the first time, but after my brain matured, I realized something. This power the cult possessed. It didn't come from the ritual. They discovered, one way or another, an ancient parasite and used it in their dark practices and eventually impart it. But that's not the damning thing. Read this note again regarding the parasite. It could be just me misinterpreting it, but the researcher insinuated that this parasite could be sentient. That is actually a horrifying concept. It maybe explains why the cult could demonstrate paranormal abilities. This disease is controlling the cult for its own gain. Getting back to the story though, after taking the elevator, you fight through the roof against what's left of the guards and enter through the hole on the ground at the end of that roof. And you're all alone. in the dark asylum. You mind yourselves of TNT traps and ghosts flooding around here. On one occasion, your only path has become an ambush by monsters. You still persist and reach the heart of the asylum, with a giant hole in the middle of the hole, further into the earth. The elevator's there but it doesn't have fuel, and this night's display seems suspicious. Nevertheless, you'll meet familiar enemies afterwards and fight your way to find where they store the fuel. Once you get to the fuel though, it seems they finally realize who the detective is, and I'll give them this. This is the best smart thing they could have done to stop him. Unfortunately for them, even with the suspicious knights and the flamer trying to stop you, you killed them, and you have enough time to refuel the generator and take the elevator down into the earth. Stepping off the elevator and continuing the journey, you'll soon come upon the largest excavation site that has ever been done underground. More surprising is the fact that the site hasn't caved in, with only a few massive pillars left to hold it up. To be fair to the cult, they did contract miners to do the job until they outlived their usefulness. You'll reach the temple located at the bottommost part of the mine and walk into a massive hall with another massive hole in the middle of it, now with stairs. You cannot proceed forward and you have to explore deeper into the earth to find the keys. Apparently there are all the rooms below: the library, the harvesting room, the prison, and its untouched exterior, where you'll find one of the former cultists who tried to do the right thing. This is where you can find the path to open up a major area blocked behind a lava wall. The key is located on the throne, and you can sit here for a while to get an achievement. You head back up to the main hall and open the fence gates, and soon encounter another hall, with a major defense force deployed to stop you. You neutralize all of them and move on to the next section of this forgotten temple. The main bridge is completely barricaded, and you have to deal with both snipers in the building across and the cultist stationed between you and the other building. Watch your steps carefully when you move through the alternative bridges, since you can slip and fall into the river of lava below. How the hell did they build this temple? You then reach the last building, and soon enter the next chamber behind those stone doors. It is laden with ammunition and weapons, and that's already a bad sign. You'll find the last son of the cult's researcher here. The researcher confirms to us that the cult indeed managed the impossible. They opened the gate. You quickly stock up on ammo and medicine before interrupting the conjurer from finishing his spell.
It is done.
At the gate, an abomination was summoned. With its fleshy arms and paranormal magic, it will throw everything it has at you, and you have to weaken it with your arsenal until it is stunned and force its ribcage to refill its heart. During this fight, the boss also summons its believers to fight against you, doing their best to interrupt your calculations and cause more damage for the abomination to send a killing blow. This is especially hard on extreme because you really have to move around a lot to dodge their suppression, and while they're not that accurate from distance, they can certainly catch you off guard if you focus on the boss too much. But after all that resistance and barely running out of ammo, you manage to finish it off with the last rounds of your shotgun. God damn it. We ain't done yet. What do I think of Chapter 1? Despite the near absence of a voice to tell the story, Jason has done a great job creating a visualized storytelling, and to the point too. It's a fitting choice to take place in the 1960s, considering cults are becoming infamous by that time. As for environmental storytelling, we do not only see the aftermath of the cult's actions, but also see evidence that they are reacting to what's happening around them. So their presence is not placeholder for being an antagonist, but as an enemy who has good common sense on what to do next. What does surprise me is that, apart from the conjurer's self-sacrifice, I don't think I've seen the cult kill their own members for incompetence. Don't get it wrong, sacrifice is still there, but they're not foolish enough to off themselves wholesale simply because they're blindly devoted to their cause. Straightforward gameplay aside, the movement mechanics are easy to practice with, though it will take a while to master given how fast-paced the action is in the game, especially if you plan to play on extreme difficulty. I still often miss intended paths and steps when I'm overwhelmed. That, combined with solid gunplay, makes it an addictive game if you treat it like an arcade. You know, I don't think I have played a boomer shooter that feels so heroic. Despite the grim violence, the gore, the darkness, the old pixels, there's still light in the darkness. For one person to make this game on his own, there's gotta be metal for that. This game sets itself apart from similar games with its artistic, charming take on its gritty fight against the horror and paranormal. A serious take at that, unlike Blood. Now I'll be frank, it's about time we get a game where we can shoot ghosts. I'm already tired here seeing Indonesian movies where they rely on folk exorcism to defeat the evil. In terms of gameplay, there's nothing to complain about, except for the lighter thingy. Is the lighter supposed to stay on while reloading? You might want to have that fixed first. And that is all the video for today, is what I would say. But there's interlude.
He's coming through. Close the gate.
What? Oh, this is...
Hello? Hey, you awake down there? You know, if they catch you napping on the job, they're gonna keep you in records for another month. I'm actually glad you're working tonight. I got a favor to ask. I need you to pull a file for me. A personnel record for a visiting ME. The guy's out in the lobby waiting. Says he's here to check out our John Doe. But I don't recognize him, and he's... Hold on. Hey, sir, I asked you to wait in the lobby. What are you... Holy shit!
That is problematic. Interlude is more of an intermission within a story, yet it is very important to the grand scheme of things. This story is thankfully short and takes place in New Grandual police station. This covers the aftermath of the detective's death and how his demise affected everything. You play the role of a rookie police officer who managed to piss off his superior and was placed in records as punishment. Unknown to our dear rookie, this punishment saved him from worse fate upstairs. Your task now? You need to escape the station quickly and find out what's happening. Yeah, I'm not going through that. Let's see. This is it. There we go. Alright, the guys should be... Oh. Gotta find a way, gotta find a way. Nope. Okay. This is the morgue. That will be important later. By the time you try to leave, trouble finds you. A rookie cop with a 357 is more than enough to set them up for a meeting with our Lord. I also find it odd that he picks up handgun ammo, but is not picking up any of their pistols. But no matter. There are a couple of notes to read in this office. One regarding a complaint about the massive redaction surrounding our John Doe and a weapon manifest recovered from the detective, and the other is a weapon manifest belonging to other robbery crime. A shotgun, but most important of all, guns. Aha! Nice. Wait. Shit. Oh well, just one gun, I'm afraid. Good question. I appreciate the dev giving us a reasonable excuse for why we can't use the previous guns. Clever subversion on his part. After you get the key to the rooftop, you... Oh dear. That is a problem. Traversing the open roof is a bit hard with snipers around, in which the revolver comes in clutch. It's at this point that you begin to realize the difference in strength between the officer and the detective. The rookie runs slower and jumps not as high, but is still packing as always. Looks like someone already did the fun part. Yeah. They blow a hole through here. It's shocking how a couple of months is all it took for the cult to reorganize and be capable of assaulting an entire city. Bastards. So that's what the explosion all about, eh? Also... so this is it. Thank you for the surprise. Going back in, you'll come upon the conference room. Damn traitors. It's not a good sight. Damn twats. That's when you realize it's connected to the chief's office. Son of a bitch. Yet, unsurprising, if even the chief has become a part of the cult, this whole place is already corrupted to begin with. But at least, we now know they're coming for the detective's body as their primary objective. I wonder why. It's been 2 months. Would you look at that? damn key. Huh. Time to keep moving until you did something to the elevator. Wait, is it really even is working? That was not me. That was not me. That was not my. Only one way to go. Where's the music? Where's the music? I hate this. Well, I got something better at least. Yeah, just... You can't even deny how isolated you feel when there's nothing to keep you in company. I have to say it again. Jason indeed understands how to make an effective horror section. At least I don't need the lighter for the darkness. Oh, there you are. Shit. Oh boy. I can imagine this is not what he had in mind when he signed up as an officer. Regardless, he's doing surprisingly well as a rookie. Before we continue though, remember the morgue? In here, we can find Coroner's note regarding the cover-up of our dear detective. To say he's upset is a complete understatement, especially since he's been barred from talking about him. At least we can vouch for him that the detective indeed fought like hell, especially now since he no longer has a family to live with. And there's a note of the initial autopsy report, which is shockingly jarring to say the least. No apparent cause of death, nothing notable even with extensive scarring, all fully healed. The hell? He's dead, right? Yeah, that's him alright. But the report says all his injuries are fully healed. How does a corpse... Yeah, let's not dally too long. And now you're going to make a last effort to escape, and your treacherous blue brothers await you. These fanatic cops are a special kind of enemy. If they aim at you as you take cover, they will not open fire until you get out of cover, and they're very accurate at it. If you make them wait too long though, they will waste a bullet. That's something rare to see in a boomer shooter game, if I'm being honest. You'll find a hole through the interview areas, and you're almost at the exit. But... okay, that doesn't seem good. It doesn't seem good. Oh shit. Shit. Oh, Jesus Christ. The tankers refused to rest and came back for another match. The design of this monster is some diabolical work of art. It'll shoot MGs at you, lunge at you with its claws, fire tank shells at you, and spitting flames without a moment's rest. And judging from the amount of flesh on its appendages and the massive open jaw on its torso, they must have sacrificed tens of people by now. Unfortunately, there is no anti-tank weaponry in the station, but his superiors have failed to realize one thing, that this guy here will become the best officer this town has ever had. Oh shit, What the heck, dude? You're spitting fire now. Oh shit! Oh dear. Oh god, I hate that. Shit. Oh dear lord. No. Let me that. Oh, that bastard. Oh shit. Thank you, plus armor. Running out of ammo. Oh no. Ow. Come on. Shit. Oh god. Gotcha. You're dead, right? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Oh.
And the outsider? Very well. Preparations will begin immediately. We must restore the connection.
He came back? How the hell I missed one? The grand question now is, what do I think about Interlude? It is a nice continuation of the story from the perspective of the more underdog character in the game. The rookie officer, in fact, is my favorite protagonist in this game, and due to his accidental efforts, he has bought New Grandual more time and maybe someone else's. I suppose I don't have to say who it is. I also like the little lore Jason left throughout the station for us to discover, though I admit I wish I could find out more about how our dear officer ended up in the records room in the first place. The level design itself is actually straightforward and feels like what a normal police station would look like in terms of size. I wish they had a bit more decorations though, especially since this actually takes place during December. The difference in gameplay between the officer and the detective is a bit subtle but pronounced. Unlike the detective, playing as the rookie felt like we stepped into the fieldwork for the first time at the wrong time. You're not that guy, but you ain't someone to be pushed around. This makes his choice of limited arsenal all the more reasonable to be deadly but also precise. The converted cops as enemies is actually a nice addition to this game, because it feels really like you're dealing with trained cops with their precise aim and patience and whatnot. They also appear along with Interlude's own survival map, Mericultmas, which covers the police lobby and the abandoned streets surrounding it. It is actually my favorite map to this day, especially since this map has its own theme music. Hehe. Both the revolver and semi-auto shotgun are unique in their own ways. The revolver is based on a Smith & Wesson Model 19, shares the same ammo, damage, and penetration as the lever action. Yes, you can find this gun. Yeehaw! Whereas the semi-auto shotgun, shortened as SASG, is based on the shortened Browning Auto 5. This is the more accurate version of the shotgun with slightly narrower spread, and it's possible to interrupt reloads to quickly fire. Personally, I prefer this over the sawed-off, mostly for its practical use and versatility as a home defense shotgun or rifle. After all, the design of the shotgun is surprisingly accurate. Oh, and the SASG can be used alongside its shield too. Nice. There's one more melee weapon you've seen at the beginning of the level, the police nightstick. Better than fists, but not as good as a hatchet. The only good thing this stick has going for it is that it is the only indestructible melee weapon in the game. My only complaint about this chapter is that SASG sounds like a cash register strapped into an artillery piece. while the revolver just doesn't have a distinct punch. Funnily enough, I don't mind the former. It's memorable enough for me. Now, will I recommend everyone to play Cultic? If you have a taste for retro or boomer shooter games, yes. If you like to have a horror game where you're not entirely defenseless, yes. If you, especially my fellow Indonesians, are tired of the trope of characters being illogical in horror movies or not being able to fight back ghosts and demons, this game is for you. If you seek modern graphics or think this game is just another generic boomer shooter, well, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I won't force it. And with that, you have reached the end of this video. This is my first time making this kind of video, so if you guys actually like it, let me know. Because I'm new to this YouTube thingy and still figuring out which niche I'm good at. It's going to take a while on Cultic's Chapter 2, so stay tuned. If you wonder why I didn't put Chapter 2 in the same video, well, other than being new at this, I kind of treat that chapter as a separate sequel. Jason did say it's technically a DLC, but I see it's more of an expansion of the story than anything. If you find things I said inaccurate or wrong, then my apologies. Do leave some comments on which part I might have gotten wrong. And without further ado, sampai jumpa semuanya. Have a nice, pleasant day, wherever you are.